This is my review of Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 6. I did indeed get Crunchroll Premium. So we open inside of Itadori's body, kind of. We see like his spine and his rib cage and stuff. Sakura and Itadori are facing off. Itadori's kind of sitting down, ready to fight. Sakura tells him not to look up at him, and then Itadori says something to the effect of, "If you come down here, then I'll look down at you." Sakura looks pretty cool. He's on a throne of skulls. It's a mound of skulls he's sitting on. It fits for him. I don't know what skulls, if they're meant to represent all the demons or the curse he's killed, or the people, or if they're just stylistic. I don't know. He's got on like a kimono or something. It's very fitting for him and his character, I thought. We eventually find out the area they're in is actually part of Sakura's innate domain. And he says it's a part of his mind, so I guess what an innate domain is like a curse extends their mind to enrapture the world around them and turn into kind of a pocket dimension. I don't know. The fight opens with Itadori throwing a skull up at Sakura. It collides with the mound and explodes. Sakura jumps away. It's still impressive to see Itadori show off such a feat of strength for just being a human. But he obviously isn't going to stand a chance against Sakura. They have a brief exchange where they're kind of punching. Itadori kind of catches Sakura off guard and punches a rib under him, thinking it's going to make him fall, but really underestimates Sakura's speed. Sakura just blitzes behind him and fucking smacks him and then stands on him, and the fight is over, and Sakura starts talking to Itadori. I assumed he was trying to make the pact he had been talking about. He gives Itadori two conditions to save him, one being that when he says extend, I think, he says some phrase that he'll immediately take over Itadori's body for 1 minute. And the second condition is that Itadori would forget that they had this conversation. And Itadori says obviously he's not going to do that because he doesn't know that he can trust Sakura. Sakura says, fine, I won't kill or hurt anyone while I'm in this, which I assume would just mean Itadori's friends, not random people. And Itadori obviously doesn't trust him. Then Sakura explains that if he's the one who breaks the pact, that he'll be the one who's punished. And they kind of show him be dissolved, so I imagine if a curse breaks a pact, that they're expelled. Maybe this pact thing would explain Fushigoro's Shikigami and explain why when they were destroyed he couldn't resummon them. Itadori accepts his conditions and Sakura gets off of him. And then Itadori punches Sakura in the face, gets his first blow, he lands on him and knocks him away. And he tells him he's not going to trust him, and then Sakura says, well, let's have a battle. If I kill you, then you'll accept my conditions, and if you kill me, I'll accept yours. And as soon as Itadori agrees, Sakura cuts his head off. Because Itadori's pretty hard-headed about this shit, doesn't really understand his position here. We cut to Gojo and the other guy, and they're talking around Itadori's body. Gojo continues talking about killing his superiors, and basically explains that he could kill them all, but that if he was to usurp the power with violence, for one thing, they would be replaced, and another thing, no one would support him for doing that. So he's trying to fight them by educating the Jujutsu recruits and kind of getting them to his side. And I guess he would hope to one day take the power that way. I don't know. He doesn't really get too much into it. Itadori obviously comes back. Gojo didn't seem very surprised. The other guy was. And he kind of reveals that his plan was... He kind of suspected they would send Itadori to his death, and he figured that, I guess, that Sakuna would bring him back, so he was hoping that after that, they would know Itadori's alive for a little while, and he could get him a bit stronger. Then we cut to back to the restaurant where the curses and the samurai are. This one employee can actually sense the curses, so he clearly has a little bit of potential in him to be a Jujutsu sorcerer. I forget what they were called in the other two, in episode 4. They gave them a name. People could sense them. And he leaves because he knows he gets the sensation that if he goes over to the table, he's going to die. So the manager walks over there because he has to tell the samurai to get up and go, and he starts feeling hot, and all of a sudden he catches on fire, and we were kind of cutting between that and the Cyclops guy talking with the samurai, and then after he catches on fire, everyone else in the restaurant spontaneously combusts and dies. We aren't really shown how that's happening. I assumed that the guy's head kind of, because he had fire come out of his head, I assumed that caught the manager on fire, but I don't think it's quite that complex for him to do it. I don't know. So finally it is revealed there are other cursed artifacts other than Sakuna's finger, which you kind of guess, but... Or special grade cursed artifacts is what I meant to say. Other than Sakuna's fingers, but I don't know. For a while there, I was kind of getting worried. There wouldn't be. And the guy gives out some kind of a square thing he refers to as some kind of prison. And that's going to be used to seal away Gojo's powers or something. And when the samurai reveals that that's what they're going to use, the Cyclops asks him to give him an approximation of his strength based on Sakuna's fingers. So they're power scaling based off of Sakuna's fingers, I guess. And the samurai tells him that a Cyclops is equal to 8 or 9, which does not sound right. I think that was a lie to get him to go and fight Gojo with a bit too much confidence or something, because there's no way this fucking loser is equal to half of Sakuna's power. That's ridiculous. It would just be, the characters would be too strong this early on, and we wouldn't have very far to go up, right? It's also weird to hear people in the universe scale their own power in this kind of a way. Fushiguro visits the mother of the prisoner that died and gives her his name band just to comfort her, so she has something to remember her son by. Everyone is training for the exchange thing. The panda is training with Nobara. And the, I wish I would have... Zenine, I think was her name. She's like a weapons expert, and she's just going to train Fushiguro, and they're kind of having them do some combat training and stuff. And then we cut to Gojo and Itadori, and Gojo's going to train Itadori on how to use Jujutsu now. Here's what I didn't like about the episode. He states that Itadori is gifted with close combat talent or close combat experience or knowledge or something. Some innate talent for close combat. More so than Fushiguro or Nobara. But I disagree with that because it's true that Itadori is gifted athletically. I mentioned the first episode, it's clear he's a physical specimen. He's a freak. He's got crazy strength and athletic abilities. That's a given. But it's also revealed he didn't do sports and stuff. He never cultivated this gift. It's just something he can do. And I gave some examples that he can throw a punch, but he doesn't actually know how to throw a punch. he can swing a knife, but he doesn't actually know how to swing a knife. In other words, he hasn't trained. He doesn't really know what he's doing. Anyone can punch, but you have to do, you know, some training to learn actually how to punch and understand what you're doing and what you're supposed to do and what not to do. Right now, Itadori, yeah, he's really strong and really fast, but he doesn't know how to use those basic gifts that he has. You know, I don't think he did any better against Sakura than Fushiguro did. Fushiguro had a brief physical exchange with him too. So I disagree with that. It's true, he's got some crazy natural strength and stuff, but he's not skilled in any way. But he's going to learn to use Jujutsu, which is fun. Gojo explains that Jujutsu sorcerers usually need to be born with talent, which is an interesting spin on shonen, because usually it's work versus natural talent. Usually people who work are better than those with natural talent, but in this series, where it appears we're going to go the route of natural talent and learning to cultivate that talent, which, if you work really hard and you're up against someone who is born talented at something and they also work hard to cultivate it, they're always going to be ahead of you. So that's interesting. There's a nice comedic scene where Yuji finds out that it's not going to be as easy to use his powers as he would want, and he starts listing off different things he wants to be able to use. He says the Spirit Gun, the Rasengan, the Bankai, and the Dodon Ray. I thought that was funny. Nice references. In particular, Bankai caught my eye, because that does confirm that the mangaka at least is familiar with Bleach. Because I find a lot of similarities between this early bit of Jujutsu Kaisen and early Bleach. I thought it was interesting that he said the Dodon Ray instead of the Kamehameha Wave, but then it immediately cut to another scene. He said, I want to fire Kamehameha Wave. And I was like, oh, there we go. It's weird to say Dodon Ray. That's such a... I don't know. Even in the manga, it's only used like 3 or 4 times, right? The Dodon Ray isn't used that many times, so it's just weird, even for this one in Japan, to mention that move. Gojo wants to focus on just applying his jujutsu to his physical strength. In other words, like making a punch stronger by using the curse energy. Very basic application. That's good. I think it fits with Itadori's character. It fits with this being an early thing and him not knowing what he's doing yet, because it is such a basic application. That's essentially what we saw the curse and the prison that Sakura fought using. But instead of learning how to throw a punch, he's going to learn about how to control his curse energy output. So Gojo gives him a doll from the principal, and he has to focus a certain amount of curse energy into it. And if he goes, I think, above or below what it wants, then it punches him. At least that was my understanding. Maybe it was just if he didn't put any in it, it punched him. I don't know if he wasn't allowed to put too much or not. But he's just learning how to control his output now. So I think that's a good place to start. He's going to watch movies to kind of distract him so that he has to do it subconsciously as though it's second nature to him to do it. The curse energy is drawn from negative emotions, but he isn't supposed to let them kind of go too far, because if they explode, then he'll exert too much. Yeah, I thought maybe it was going to be like the movies make him pissed off or something, but it's literally just a distraction for him to learn to do it through second nature. He isn't learning to control his emotions, at least not yet. Come back to Fushiguro. He remembers Sakura not telling him that he doesn't see his own potential or something like that. So Fushiguro kind of sits around and thinks about what talent and potential Sakura saw in him, and he decides he's really going to try to cultivate it. We come back to Itadori as he's watching the movie, and you know the thing's gonna punch him because we cut back, but you're just left waiting for it, and he goes and he starts drinking a drink, and all of a sudden he forgets, and the thing punches him in the fucking face, and it was funny. Made me laugh even though I knew it was coming. Gojo leaves, and he's driving to meet the principal, and he ends up getting out of the car. Likely because something's following him or going to attack him, is what I was thinking, or he sensed a curse or something. It's also clear, before he left, he asked Itadori if Sakura made a pact with him, and of course, Itadori can't remember. But it's clear that Gojo is very suspicious of Sakura, and rightfully so. But anyways, when he gets out of the car and the car leaves, the Cyclops ends up jumping out to fight Gojo, and I'm sure Gojo's just going to kill him. It looked like in the preview for the episode his 2 associates are going to be there as well, so I'm sure it'll be a 3-on-1 and Gojo will just destroy the shit out of them. Because right now I'm sure the cursed human person or group or faction or whatever is just trying to see just how powerful Gojo is to get an idea of what they need to do to beat him. So that's my thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen episode 6. I thought it was a fun episode. There's not really any action, but we're in the first season, so we're just establishing stuff anyways. The humor is really good in this series, surprisingly. I'm sure at some point we're going to get serious and there won't be humor anymore. But if that happens or not, I don't know. We'll have to see in the future. I'm hoping that the action in the next episode is going to be good. Even though I'm sure Gojo's a lot more powerful than these people, I hope he at least plays with them for a minute so we can get a little back and forth. I'd never like a fight to just be one-sided. Yeah. So in the next video.